Hello. So I am here to talk with you a little bit about the elimination diet and my experience with it personally and what I've been learning from it. I want to speak to you as if you're somebody who is considering embarking upon it, or who maybe knows deep down that you're not eating as well as you could be, even though there might be a lot of resistance around the idea of doing an elimination diet. Resistance is a really big part of the process. You have to puncture through the resistance to get to the other side, to get to the beginning stages of the process. The work begins when you decide you're going to do this, and it continues, indefinitely. It's funny because a lot of people say online that the elimination diet is something that you do temporarily until you start to feel better, and then you start to incorporate certain foods back into your diet to see how your system experiences those foods. Yes, that is a huge part of what elimination diet is. But you'll notice, and as you move through the experience, you'll probably realize that a lot of the foods that you removed just generally aren't good for you, and you may find yourself realizing that you actually don't need them anymore. But you get to that stage later. In the beginning stage, you're feeling a lot of attachment to food. You go through a process of realizing that you've been having a sort of unconscious relationship to food, even though you think you might be a really conscious human. There's a lot of programming that we have when it comes to food, and it goes very deep down into when we were children and when we were babies. So yes, very old programming that we're dealing with, and of course we're going to defend certain foods, and we're going to grasp at those things because they represent comfort. They also represent love, believe it or not. When we were kids, we had, especially my generation, and I'm sure other generations as well, were given treats when they were good. So treats were usually sugar, and not good for you. But when we're very young, our brains and our bodies are still developing. So when we receive sugar, we program our cells into believing that sugar equals reward, equals love, equals worthiness and value. So that's pretty far back as far as how entangled we are with sugars. And that's beyond sugar as far as just candy. That sugar can translate into other kinds of foods as well, including like bread and stuff like that. I'm not going to get too into the nitty-gritty details about the diet foods and stuff like that. I am going to share with you what my elimination diet has looked like. Yeah, just leave it there, and I'll provide some links and stuff as well if you are interested. Actually, I'm thinking I'm just going to create a whole playlist on my channel that you all can reference if you're looking for some good material. The elimination diet is essentially an anti-inflammatory diet, and an anti-inflammatory diet is always good. It doesn't matter if you're sick. It's great if you're sick, and it's great if you're healthy, and it's preventative. If you're healthy right now, what you're doing is you're preventing, you're giving yourself a really good shot at preventing disease from forming. If you're sick right now, then you can help eliminate the inflammation that's making your symptoms and your experience worse and more uncomfortable. You can start to find relief there. The elimination diet is removing gluten, dairy, soy, nightshade vegetables. That includes things like potatoes, tomatoes, things like that. I'll include a reference for you to explain what nightshades are. No alcohol, no caffeine, no sugar, no processed food, no tobacco. I don't know if you smoke, but some people smoke. So yeah, no tobacco, because tobacco actually is a nightshade and it's a stimulant. So the diet itself is non-stimulating and anti-inflammatory. So you're calming your system down, you're bringing the heat down, you're cooling your system down, and you're letting yourself chill. You want to consider this holistically. It's not just food, it's sleeping, it's activity, it's the entire program that you've been running, It's a call to action in a lot of ways. It brings awareness to all the ways that we've been enacting in this world unconsciously. A lot of us eat to soothe ourselves, you know, a lot of us eat to feel better. If you're having a shitty day, you might want a slice of cake, you know, like things like that, or a slice of pizza, you know, you just don't feel like cooking and you just want to like eat something. And deep down it kind of feels like you're punishing yourself, but at the same time it also feels like you're rewarding yourself, and there's a whole lot of mixed signals in the food and in the eating. This is an invitation to have this be a mindfulness practice. When I eat food, I have the awareness that this is fuel, that this food that is an apple is eventually going to turn into little pieces of cells in my body. Like, it's quite amazing to realize that the food that you eat becomes part of you. So what kind of fuel do you want in your body? Oil, or is it like clean, like solar energy? We all have programs running in the background, and one thing you're going to notice when you start the elimination diet is how you grasp at the old programming, how you grasp at those old places of seeking comfort. You're going to notice that actually those cravings get more and more intense in the beginning. I don't know if this is psychological programming or if it literally is like parasites and bacteria in the stomach that hijack the psyche, but whatever it is, it's not you. Like it's something that's either, yeah, like I said, programming, or actual little beings that live inside of you that are compromising your system and convincing you that these foods are good, that these foods are love, that these foods are comfort and safety and security, and they're not. They're not. They're promoting sickness and disease and a system that is basically dependent upon the system that we are all embedded inside of, the collective system of this culture. You look at a menu in a restaurant and the majority of things are inflammatory. It's startling, actually. Wow, like it really requires a lot of willpower to stay with the program, the new program that you're creating, the conscious mindful eating program, the clean fuel program. It takes a lot of willpower. There aren't a lot of places that support clean eating, clean fuel. That's tough because it can feel really isolating. When we feel like we can't have those bonding moments with our friends, we feel isolated and alone, and that can actually stir up a lot of things. For me, it did. I actually had to go really inward. Unworthiness was a huge thing that came up for me a lot. Like, I'm not worthy to be a part of the past program anymore. I'm not worthy of love is what that translates to. You know, frustration around the fact that I can't fit into the system the way I used to. Like flat out, blatantly missing the ignorance of my past programming. Wishing that I could, you know, fall back into that ignorance, but at the same time knowing that it's not good for me and knowing that what I'm doing is necessary. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's really great to approach it in such a way that you are not only treating it like a mindfulness practice, but treating it like it's a game. Because, you know, if you act like a detective with this magnifying glass over your life to see like where in my life am I unconscious in my choices, it sort of cascades out into other areas of your life as well. You'll find that not only are you becoming more conscious of your food choices and your relationship to food, but you start to become more conscious of everything that you consume. You start to consider your environment and how you nurture and keep that environment. You start to consider your relationships with your friends and what kind of energy source those connections are. It's a call to awakening in a lot of ways. It can be anyways. It doesn't have to be this struggle. It doesn't have to be a suffering experience, although there can be moments of suffering. It's hard, and I can't say that I had a crazy amount of willpower before this. I certainly feel like this flexed the willpower muscle in me for sure, you know, just staying true to the goal, which is bring myself back to homeostasis, bring myself back to feeling healthy and well again, because I wasn't feeling very good before. And that's, you know, I didn't even realize how not good I was because I was so complacent, and it had a lot of stress and anxiety, and that's inflammation, right? If we have chronic inflammation in our bodies, then of course we're going to have anxiety. You know, our anxiety is an alarm bell. It's just letting us know that something's not okay. And so it's inviting us to tune in and pay attention. All of these things are alarm bells. You know, all of the symptoms that we experience are notifications. Hey, something's not cool over here. Gotta do something about this. What are we gonna do? You know, to what degree are you okay with being uncomfortable in your body? Maybe we can't completely erase our pain and our suffering, and that's not the intention here. The intention is really just to do everything we can to nurture and take care of ourselves. One thing I really want to drive home here is that this is an opportunity for you to essentially reparent yourself, because we are speaking to programs from childhood, and inner child is very present during this experience, and I would really encourage you to stay tuned into that. Have softness with yourself. You are not your feelings. Like, those feelings that come up for you, we can assess them, we can look at them, we can be with them. You're a warrior here, and a warrior of mindfulness. If you want to start feeling better, one of the ways you can do it, you can start to feel better right away, is just making conscious choices about your food. Even if that means just being mindful while you're eating, you know, like literally tune in to your eating process. How is it for you to eat and be here with your food? Think about it, you know, like, where did this food come from? How far back can you take your imagination? This food was once a seed, and then it grew into a plant, and then it created fruit, and then it was plucked by a human, and then it was sorted by another human maybe, and then it was transported, and it was placed on a shelf and organized, and then it was like provided. You know, then we went to the store and we picked it up, and then we took it home, and then we created a meal out of it, and then we ate it. Like, there's a whole line of mindfulness that you can think about. You can anchor into gratitude when you eat your food, for all of the efforts that went into making this food and this fuel possible, and getting you to this point. So getting really conscious and connected to your food is so key. And yeah, that one has been a huge for me. I used to eat and watch, you know, videos. I used to eat and listen to podcasts. Now I make it a point to just sit with my food and just be here with the awareness of where it's come from. And I think that's been a game changer, because it anchors me into the awareness that we're all connected and we're all doing this together, that this is a full spectrum experience that we're all having, and I'm not alone in this experience, and I have allies and people that are helping me, and I don't even know their names. I don't even know what they look like, you know, and you do too. We all do. So it's kind of awesome. It's kind of awesome to look at it that way. I wanted to share some of those thoughts on what it's been like for me. There's something really juicy about approaching it like this. You know, there's a lot of videos out there about how to approach the elimination diet, how to have the elimination diet experience, and they talk a lot about foods and stuff like that, but I just really wanted to share, I guess, the spiritual component, you know, and the internal component, and anchoring into the value of what it is you're actually doing. I think staying excited about something and being really energized about it is what makes it effective. If you're interested in hearing more about this stuff, let me know. I actually am thinking about shifting the vibe of this channel a little bit more to anchor into mindfulness practices and nutrition in general, because yeah, this is just coming to be something I feel really aligned with. Thank you for taking the time to listen, but also to receive this information, because there's a part of you who's interested in taking some better care of yourself, and that's awesome, you know, because we only have one life, we only have this one body to nurture and to love, so we have choices every day. How are we going to be with ourselves? Yeah, it's not just food, it's a lot of other things too. It's activity, it's rest, there's so much. So thank you for taking some time to consider some of these things, and I will check in with you later. Bye bye.